All right, we appear to be live. Simon Foster is my co-host here. My name is Dan Barrett. We are here talking about the Academy Awards, which happened on apparently a billion people were watching, Simon.
Oh, easily a billion. I had like 20,000 here in my house, so I can imagine a billion were absolutely watching this year's Academy Awards. I can't wait
Now,
about this. 'Cause
here's the thing. I did some math.
yes.
Okay, like how many people do you think watch the Academy Awards in the United States of America?
Oh, we're just grabbing at numbers here as far as I'm concerned. I would say, well, past years, maybe 6 million.
6 million, thereabouts?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think about the US being the biggest market for the Academy Awards, how do you get to a billion exactly, Conan O'Brien? How
Well,
does that happen?
the billion people. But I mean, you count both eyeballs. You don't just count like you're not just talking about a face, you're talking about two eyeballs. So you only have to really get to 500 million.
Okay, that sounds like Hollywood math to me. Look, here's the thing. We are going to have just a bit of a brief chat about the Academy Awards that took place just then because, look, I mean, I watched. And maybe we should give a little bit of background about where we're coming from with this one.
Yes.
I'm a TV critic generally. I have a love-hate affair with the Academy Awards, to be as polite as possible about it,
Mhm.
in that I find them usually unwatchable is really the big
I'm
thing.
not I am not gonna let you harsh my vibe down, Barrett. I am
No,
not
but Simon Foster here comes from a very different perspective, and he's
yeah,
someone who he loves cinema. He loves the Academy Awards,
I
as
do.
long as it's not movies about women or black people. I believe that is the standard. Is
That
that right?
that is not right at all. I have been watching them religiously since I was a wee tyke, when no information came down the pipe about who won, and we would sit up with my parents watching the nighttime broadcast, as it was then in prime time on one of the major networks. And I adore them, and I adored today's one. I've got to say, I think it's a real return to form.
Look, I'm going to get out there and say I think this is one of the better Academy Awards I've seen in some time.
Thank goodness. Thank
No,
good. I was
but
so
you've also
worried.
been a defender of them every time I've spoken to you for the last 5 or 6 years about this, and you've been wrong every single time.
No,
But this time, Simon, they were actually not too bad.
no, look, I know that you're a bit of a Debbie Downer when it comes to award season, particularly. I mean, you're not as down on the Oscars as you are on that other, the GGs, but what you are, you are not the traditionalist I am when it comes to pomp and ceremony to do with Hollywood. I completely embrace it, can absolutely, you know, justify it when things go terribly, terribly wrong. And there was a couple of very wrong moments tonight, but I think overall this was a really entertaining show.
Yeah, so the typical thing happened with the Academy Awards in that I was fairly engaged with it for about an hour, and then I wasn't for like the next hour, and then I came in back again for the last half hour, and they were pretty good again.
Not going to disagree with that. I thought it sagged a bit in the middle, had a couple of rough patches. The that whole period of when the live action short was announced, and then Sean Penn didn't turn up, and then it went to black screen where there should have been ads on our local cinema, on our local network. So, yeah, it bumped and sagged a bit in the middle, but do go on, Dan.
Well, I mean, that's the thing though, which is that it feels to me that they don't do enough to try to make that middle section actually not sag. So, look, I mean, you see, there's the comedy bits that are all running, and the comedy bits are front loaded at the beginning of the podcast, at the beginning of the program, as front loading suggests as a term. And then there's like a few comedy bits right towards the end. Why not actually drop them into the middle, where instead all that you have are I don't want to call them lesser awards. That's unfair to the people who are nominated, but certainly the awards that have little less sort of excitement around them from the broader viewership. And then you drop in those musical segments, which the musical segments are just, I just want to throw my TV out the window
No, see,
anytime they're on.
where you're completely wrong. The two big musical segments this year, the Sinners presentation, which harkened back to the chat we had on the podcast about how it should be a live musical experience, that absolutely backed you up. And
So, so
wait a
for
minute,
people that weren't aware of that conversation, what
the-
Simon's referring to is on the podcast that we do. It's called
yeah,
Screen Watching. It's very good. People should tune in. You'll enjoy it. I suggested that we were talking about movies that would make for good adaptations to stage plays.
yes,
And I put forward Sinners as an idea because of musical sequences like that, I think would be amazing to
yes,
watch on stage. But that's contextual, Simon. The thing is that I don't understand why you just try to recreate what we saw in the movie very specifically on stage. If you're going to mount a musical performance on stage, give us something we haven't seen before, but they just tried to do what's in the movie again. Like, why do I want that? Like, that's just wasting my time.
I think it absolutely captured what the movie set out to do with that sequence and the way
Watch the movie.
and they go, huh?
I'm not watching the movie, I'm watching an award show.
Yeah, but so what you're suggesting is that we go back to the good old days of Rob Lowe and Snow White and do the interpretive dance.
Yes!
Well, you're an idiot.
Yes! More of
You're an
that,
idiot.
please.
It's not ever coming back. That is gone. That is what they've done. Is they didn't do all the song nominees, and I wish they kind of had because they did a good job. But with the K-pop Demon Hunter song with Golden, which eventually went on to win, and we are going to spoil some of the awards here. So we are doing a recap show. But
Spoil them. Who's watching this that doesn't want to hear what we have to say about the awards?
do not harsh my vibe. I am going to say that I thought the musical numbers was great. I think there is absolutely no way that the usual controversy about who was left out of In Memoriam can arise. This year, they really lent into honouring those that had passed in the last year. It felt like it certainly went longer because they had big presentations. The moment with Rachel McAdams was beautiful. The moment with Barbara Streisand honouring Robert Redford was beautiful. And to kick it off with Billy Crystal and honouring Rob Reiner. And that one of my favourite films of all time that hardly anyone ever talks about, The Shore Thing, gets front of stage presence at the Oscars. I was really, really moved. There were a couple of moments in tonight's ceremony where I choked up and got a little bit goose pimply.
So I remember montages like that in the past, where you'd occasionally hear one of the actors delivering a line from one of the nominated films.
Yep.
I wish that we'd done that again, and I appreciate that this is a line that he's best known for from TV rather than film. But it is absolutely criminal to have Isaiah Whitlock on screen and not have the opportunity to hear him saying shit. Like, that needed to happen, and we didn't get that. So
No.
thumbs down to this entire broadcast.
Right. Well, there you go. But he led off. He was the first cab out of the rank in the Memoriam. But in a year when so many of those seminal Hollywood figures passed away, and it was going to be a real challenge to cover. I mean, I'm at a point now where I wake up in the morning and I dread looking at my variety feeds and my Hollywood Reporter feeds because I know there's somebody who I grew up loving cinema because of has passed away. Not just the Redfords and the Duvals and the Keatons, but also the behind the scenes people and the executives. These are all sort of the people now that were front and center of my sort of lapping up movies. So I was really happy that the In Memoriam section was as handled as beautifully as it was. Let's get to Conan. Let's talk about that opening bit, the weapons bit, pre-recorded bit. Very funny.
Look, very good. I felt bad for anyone who hadn't seen the film Weapons or knew anything about it because, boy, that would have made no sense at the beginning.
Yep.
The montage, first of all, I thought it was very funny.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it was a throwback very much to the sort of thing that Billy Crystal was doing back in the day. And, applause to that because I think the Academy Awards work so much better with that sort of a gag than hearing Seth MacFarlane on stage singing songs about actresses showing their boobs. This is what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that was all good. A question for you. When we saw the end of that sequence with Conan running into the theater and all the kids running behind, was that Conan running through?
No, it was not.
Okay, because I was like, sort of, my attention was diverted for a second, and I just assumed it was Conan.
Yeah.
And then he came out sans makeup and everything else, and I was like, wait, how did that work? Because I was pretty sure I'd just seen Conan run past.
There's a part right near the end of it when the person standing in for Conan runs up the stairs to the stage, and you realize that's definitely not Conan. I don't even think that's a man. That might be a woman doing that, but it was yes, it definitely wasn't him.
Was it Tilda Swinton?
It could have been Tilda Swinton. She can do anything. She's really great. But then we get into the monologue. Patchy.
It was fine.
It was patchy.
I liked the gag where we saw the multiple Michael B. Jordans.
Yes, funny. And later in the show, the other pre-recorded bit, the YouTube bit with Jane Lynch, I thought was very funny, doing the ads, that was pretty funny. There was a Netflix gag in the opening. I can't remember what it was. It might have been directed at Ted Sarandos, but it had its moments, and it certainly, and all credit to the Academy this year in a world where everything is going crazy right now. What's the point of celebrity if you can't comment on some of the world's ills and some of the injustices in the world. Certainly Javier Bardem did. Certainly Conan did, which is very unlike Conan, but he lent into the some current politics, and I'm all for that. I don't mind it being a stage for that kind of commentary.
Yeah, only because you're on board with Hollywood Wokistan and I don't know. Look,
I think he left no tree hugger. You bet I am.
uh, maybe let's sort of pick out some of the highlights in terms of awards. Was there anything? Actually, let's start with highlights. Let's go negative. Was there anything that you thought was just an outrage that someone appropriate wasn't nominated, wasn't awarded? Like, where's your anger as we leave the awards?
I'm glad that is it Jamie O'Connell or Jamie O'Donnell, the guy from Sinners, the villain from Sinners? Because I pegged him as a supporting actor nominee early on, and I think uh, he should have been. So yeah, look, there's a handful of people that I would have much rather seen A, nominated, and B, winning. Towards the end there, I was absolutely sitting with my fingers crossed, going Renata, 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 Renata. I really wanted her to win Best Actress, but
It was never going to happen.
it was never going to happen. I mean, I looked at some betting sites this morning, Gold Derby and a couple of other ones, and the only category that had 100% guarantee of a win was Jessie Buckley for Best Actress. So yeah, that I knew it wasn't going to happen. But
Your girl, Jessie Buckley.
my not my girl anymore. Boy, I'm really down on her at the moment, which surprises me. I didn't have any problem with any of the winners, and I have
Sorry,
my
can we let me go negative? Is that
yeah
okay?
negative
Yeah.
up. Yeah, what you do?
Yeah. Look, I think the biggest oversight through the awards was in the cinematography category. I thought of the, what is it, 5 nominees, not a single one wasn't deserving. Like, all of them are just incredibly visually, each of those films. Okay. That said, and look, it was cool seeing Autumn Arkapour
Mhm.
win. Like, that was cool. But I really wanted to see Adolfo Veloso win for Train Dreams.
Okay. Yep.
I think that film visually has haunted me more than any other film that I've seen this year. Like, it is such a gorgeous looking movie. I think it is criminal that film got a nomination for adapted screenplay, because the thing that didn't work about it was it came too close to the short story that it's based on. Like, it lifted passages from that, and that was, you may remember my review for it. Like, I was critical of the over the top narration, which was just a little bit too, flowery and just a little bit gross. Okay, but visually, that is what makes that film absolutely pop, and that guy deserved to like sit
Did
it.
it lose because it's a Netflix film? Did it lose because it didn't get enough big screen exposure?
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Although, I mean, keep in mind, don't think about big screen exposure as much as because we saw the report saying that the Academy is getting rid of their live screen screenings, like the cinema screenings,
Mm.
because people aren't turning up to them anymore. People are just watching it on the portal at home.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so much a visual thing, but it's possible that they didn't win because there's still the idea of voting against Netflix films.
Um.
It's the name, not how it looked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Um. I published all of my nominations for every category onto my Screenspace site on my Screenspace Facebook page just a couple of hours before this ceremony, going right down to the wire in terms of choosing my winners. Um,
And hasn't that post aged well?
I got most of the biggies. I too did not get cinematography. I chose the one battle after another there, and in the end, it became a bit of a tussle between one battle and Sinners. I got all the Frankenstein stuff right. Of all the categories, and I include all the short film stuff in there. I got 5 wrong, so that's kind of in line with how I go most years. But otherwise, I did okay. I went with my heart over my head. I remember saying to maybe you, definitely my wife, that Sean Penn was going to win the supporting actor for One Battle when we saw that film. But my heart said Stellan, so I sort of had my fingers crossed when that came around, and that didn't happen for me, so I lost out there. But
So you say all that even though Delroy Lindo was the rightful winner in that category.
yeah, didn't do enough. It would have been a career award if
You know what he brought in there? He brought in Delroy Lindo.
yes, he did bring it, Dory.
And
Exactly.
that's award worthy right there.
Yeah, yeah, he's done some good.
Yeah.
Um, Or
So you mentioned Frankenstein a moment ago. Costuming, I thought, like, I don't see how Frankenstein won that when you're up against Mighty Supreme and Sinners, which I thought were both, it was definitely a strong point for both films.
yeah, I commented in our last podcast screen watching that I think Marty Supreme was going to be the shutout this year, and as it turned out, it was. I thought that the live action short filmmaker who had a shot at theatre and ballet was out of line. He that had been raked over the coals already with Conan's joke, which landed, but it was sort of a blown out of proportion anyway. So I was happy that
Question:
yes,
why was Anna Wintour up on stage?
because Dream, what's it called? Devil Wears Prada 2 is about to hit. I thought that actually worked
Oh,
pretty
sorry,
well.
I didn't notice her as one of the stars of that movie.
She's front and center of it, and she's the
Yeah, come on, exactly.
she's meant to be the Meryl Streep character. That's kind of who that's based on and who that's meant to send up. But I actually thought that worked quite well. I thought Anne Hathaway looked stunning when she came out.
That would be like bringing out like Adolf Hitler because Downfall was nominated.
Well, there are certain practicalities that would make that. You'd have to go all the way to Argentina and then bring him up.
Look, there's ways. I saw that Bride movie. It's possible.
Oh, it's possible, sure. Yeah, that's what you saw that Bride movie. You and I were the only ones, apparently. Which didn't cost Jesse in the end. There was, I think, do you think
Nominations had closed. Like it
that's
was
what I
in the bag by then.
already? Why is Jimmy Kimmel out there?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, why did he present? Why was he even involved?
Oh, he's a former host. I think that's fine.
Yeah, didn't need it. Could have got
That's okay. That's far more justified than Anna Wintour.
no, no. Anna Wintour's a big deal. I don't know what.
No, she's got nothing to do with the Academy Award, Simon.
She-
She's literally the inspiration for a character in a movie which isn't going to be Academy Award nominated anyway.
It's all pre-promotion. You know what? That's what the Academy Awards. They were all created by the PR, by the publicist people, and that's what they've grown into. So it's perfectly fitting for Anna Wintour to be out there and to be accompanied by past Oscar winner Anne Hathaway. So I got no problem with that at all.
Where
I
was James? Where was James Franco like presenting? Where did that happen?
I didn't see a Franco anywhere in the audience, James nor Dave. So maybe they're a little bit. Who knows? Who knows? Little surprised with the documentary. I've watched all the documentaries and I thought The Perfect Neighbor was going to win for that, but have no problem with Mr. Nobody Takes On or versus Putin. That was a very moving speech given by the subject of that film as well.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to just throw out two highlights for me.
Yes.
It was great to see my guy Dan Barrett up on stage for best visual effects for Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Yep. Pick
Yeah.
that.
Him and the rest of the team, names unknown, but Dan Barrett, he's the guy.
Al Lettieri, I think, is one of them. But yeah, absolutely, I can see why you've got that fondness for Avatar.
That guy's name's Joe Lettieri, by the way.
Al Lettieri is also
There was
very
also Ashley Banaham and Eric Saldum.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to throw out there was, oh gosh, what even was it? Sorry, this isn't really sort of me giving a shout out, but F1 winning for sound design. When we came out of that movie, I have a very distinct memory of talking to you about the sound design of the movie. And that I think there will be lots of snarks saying that they won because they were able to really capture a vroom sound, which sounds silly, but I do remember coming out of seeing Ford versus Ferrari. And the problem with that movie, because it's a hugely entertaining crowd pleaser, that
Mm.
flick, being Ford versus Ferrari, but
It
the
is.
sound design just didn't really, there was no pop to any of those vroom sounds. So I actually appreciate a movie that really brings out a good vroom.
Oh, it captured the engines perfectly. They got the Doppler effect, which is which is good. That was excellent.
The other thing that I thought was a highlight isn't in the show itself, but there was an ad that played. We got it here on 7 Plus in Australia. Presumably, it's played elsewhere in other territories because it's made for the Academy Awards. It was a career respective of Leonardo DiCaprio. Did you notice this?
Is this the Rolex
It's a
thing?
Rolex ad.
Yeah, we got the Zendaya one as well. There was a Zendaya
Oh,
one.
I didn't notice that one. I just saw him
Yeah.
on screen, and it just seemed like a segment in the Academy Awards.
But I
And I
thought,
felt myself lapsing into it. And then suddenly the crown of the Rolex logo came up, and I was like,
yep,
wait a second.
we got branded. We got the first one I saw was the Zendaya one, and I'm thinking, why are they doing a and honouring Zendaya, and then it turned into a Rolex ad, and I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. But yeah, very, very clever.
How would they have got all the rights to those films? They must have just anteed up dollars to get
Yeah,
on
because
it.
it's Rolex. They've got the money.
She
It's
looked beautiful.
prestige ad.
Yeah. I think Zendaya won the fashion awards. I know you're very excited and keen on judging fashion. Zendaya looks stunning up there with Robert Pattinson. Looking forward to their new film, The Dream. Funnily enough, the Bridesmaids cast getting back together, I don't think did work. That seemed awkward and long and not very funny.
Yeah. Also, see anyone who appeared in the Avengers movies.
Oh, that was terrible.
Oh man, that stunk.
That was yeah, that was really terrible. I didn't mind the Channing Tatum and
I thought that was a bit weak as well.
Will Arnett thing. That sort of had kind of a laugh about it, but I mean, the laugh being that at some point both of them were being talked about for nomination. So the fact that neither of them were, that's kind of the giggle.
So
Um,
there's a thing that the Emmy Awards have done for a couple of years. They did it really successfully about 2 years ago, and then less successfully last year when they did it. Was bring back like classic casts of TV shows from yesteryear.
yeah,
Or the year that they did it really well, I remember there was a Cheers reunion where you saw Ted Danson, Kelsey Grammer, and
and they read the stage, or they got the actual look of the thing up there.
yeah, so they had like a fake sort of Cheers set. It
Mhm.
was a little bit off, but like it was good enough for you to get the idea.
Yeah,
I don't know why they don't do that with the Academy Awards a little bit more. So there've
I-
been moments where they've had sort of like, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal come out to present an award. Okay. Like we've seen those sorts of pairings. But like, why not do that with some sort of like diner set behind them and just like try to evoke like just some of these sort of classic scenes? Like, I
yeah,
kind of like see that. Like that plays so much better than something silly like Robert Downey Jr. and one of the Chris's talking about Channing Tatum's G string from another
yeah,
movie.
yes, yeah. No, I got sure. That's an idea. Why not go with it?
Yeah.
Um, a tie in the category. Do you know when the last tie was in the Academy Awards? It's in our. There's only been one in our lifetime.
Okay. Like when was it? Like what category was it?
Oh, it was sound, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah, look, I was very happy to see that the singers ended up being awarded for two reasons. One, it was very good, and two, it was the only one of them I saw.
Yes. Well, I picked the swapping saliva thing or whatever it's called. So I get how does that work with? And he made this comment in the broadcast. How does that work with Oscar ballots? Do you get both? Do you get one if you get that? I don't know.
That depends on the ballot.
The year was 2013, and the James Bond film Skyfall and Zero Dark 30 both tied for sound design.
Okay. Well, props to Zero Dark 30.
Before that, it was like 1950 something. It went all the way back to a tie. So, no, it would have been Best Actress for Barbara Streisand and Katharine Hepburn in 68 or 69 or something. So, anyway,
I don't really know how mathematically that's possible.
how so?
It just seems like there's enough people voting. Like, I know that it's the guild, so it's not like it's everyone voting in that category.
Mm.
But like for it to come down to an exact figure,
I know.
I know that just doesn't pass the sniff test.
What makes the Oscars so enigmatic, so magical,
Yeah, that's what makes it enigmatic.
enigmatic and magical, Dan, enigmagical. All right. Well, so that's it for another year. The award season has come to an end. Is there anything else that you particularly want to weigh in on?
Look, not in the slightest. I guess the last thing I just wanted to have a brief chat about was Conan did make reference to it as part of the aforementioned Jane Lynch sketch.
Yeah.
We've got 2 more years of this being an award show that's played on broadcast TV. After that, it's going to YouTube for, I don't know, between 3 and 10 years. I don't know what the deal was that was signed. How do you think it's going to go once it leaves broadcast TV? Are people going to notice the difference? What do you think?
Oh boy.
And I ask you as the person who kept the live stream from happening for about 15 minutes while we figured out technology.
That's true.
And even then, things aren't working exactly right at
Not
the moment.
exactly right. I I think there has been a period of adjustment in between when the Oscars were just broadcast TV, 8:30 p.m. at night time. That's now 25, 30 years ago. We have adjusted to watching it on our smart TVs, seeing it in truncated form, maybe catching up with it a little bit later. And YouTube has gone through, by your own admitting, YouTube's gone through such a growth lately that I wouldn't be surprised if that first year we got the same sort of numbers and then started to improve. It's just going to be making sure that by then everyone knows how to get to YouTube to find them, to have a live YouTube feed easily accessible. That's just me flying off the top of my head.
So Barb, which is the body that measures ratings out of the UK, about 2 or 3 months ago started reporting that YouTube is now the most watched platform in the United Kingdom.
Exactly. Yep.
So, to my mind, another 2 years of further development in that direction, I don't see that this is going to be a problem in the slightest for them. But I'm kind of curious about the way that it's going to be presented to viewers in terms of the ad experience. So the idea of it's funny because it's true. Watching Conan O'Brien present like having his little gag, which gets interrupted by Jane Lynch with unexpected ads coming through. That's how the YouTube ad service works during a live broadcast.
Was it
They're
true?
not scheduled ads, so I'm sure that YouTube will probably end up sort of creating sort of scheduled positions, and we won't see that YouTube ad experience. But what if they don't? Dot 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 question mark.
I think that the Academy will make sure that that happens. I think it's such a big coup for YouTube to get the Oscars and for the Oscars to get YouTube. They're going to make sure the experience is exactly right. They're going to see it as, I mean, YouTube don't do a Super Bowl or anything like that. If they were to get a major event, um, and get an access, that this will be a testing ground for them in terms of getting this kind of presentation right. If it doesn't work, it's going to be where do they go to? What bargaining power do they have to go back to the networks and say, well, it didn't work with YouTube. Can we come back to ABC or CBS or whoever they're on? So, I don't know. It's a little scary, I guess, but exciting.
Yeah, look, I think that it's going to have very little impact, I think, on my experience of having watched it, which is in Australia, I loaded up the 7 Plus app, which is just the broadcaster in Australia that has it, and I watched the live stream through there. In the US, people watching it off the Hulu app, like I don't know where it's broadcast in the UK. Presumably it's on BBC iPlayer or something.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sure for most viewing, it was happening through streaming services already.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
All right. Well, other high points included Streets of Fire's co-star Amy Madigan winning the supporting actor Oscar. That was a big deal.
Uh,
I got very,
Amy,
very
Amy Madigan was costume acting.
Feathers were in this year. What is it with Feathers? Demi Moore was in Feathers. Amy Madigan did Feathers.
Oh, sorry, are we talking about outfits? I was talking about her getting the award.
Okay. Pedro Pascal had that thing like he was like a big
Eh,
flex.
Simon, I don't care about any of that. Let's talk about the award that Madigan took away.
Yeah.
Okay, so I finally saw Sentimental Value.
Right.
Okay, which I've got some issues with, but the thing I don't have an issue with was the performance of the woman that played the sister in it,
Inga.
Inga.
Yep.
Yeah, she was incredible. She
Well,
wasn't wearing silly face makeup or crazy hair or like overacting. Like she had this incredible performance. The one incredible performance in that film. Like she should have taken it, but Amy Madigan's just coming out with, "Oh, I got crazy hair," which snap. Like, come on, that's not worthy.
I'm not going to get into that because that's a little bit of genre bias, and that goes to the argument why don't horror and comedy films get nominated and win, because some of their performances are every bit as good as the other ones.
And I think that's true, but this one wasn't.
That is such a tough category to pick because I also thought Tiana Taylor, although she disappears for a whole bunch in the middle of the film, that probably cost her the award because the scenes she's in are incredible.
Tiana Taylor's great in that film when
Yep.
you consider the real life her. Like, I actually think that like Timothy Chalamet gets lost in that role as Mighty Supreme. I think that's like it's outstanding. I would have understood why he'd win that if he won it,
Yeah.
but no, you're not going to get in that category this year. But Tiana Taylor, I think, absolutely deserving because it is so
Oh,
far removed from the actress in anything else I've seen her in.
so do I. And I think that Elle Fanning found herself in the same position that Tiana Taylor found herself in, not in the film a lot, but making a huge impact in the roles and in the scenes that she was in. So
I just didn't think she delivered that much in that film.
yeah, I think you're completely off kilter about sentimental value. I think it's it is one of the films of the year, clearly. All right.
Sorry,
Okay.
one of the international films of the year, Simon.
So racist. I didn't
In
know.
that ghettoed cat.
Think you get
Oh,
your
it's cool.
just card. You're playing it so late in the podcast. Um. All right. So here we are with the end of the award season. What do we talk about now?
This is it. We say goodbye to people and we move on with our lives.
Okay.
I guess we get ready for the next award show, which is Emmys in September. So start
September.
doing your stretching now.
Okay. I want to hear your predictions. Do you have any predictions for the Emmys this year? I know what you're going to say. The Pit.
The pit's gonna win. Like it's just gonna happen again. No, that's the thing with the Emmy Awards, Simon, which is that once the Emmys latch onto a show, they stick with that show until something else catches their fancy.
Yeah.
But they're on the pit. I haven't seen anything else which I think is gonna upset that. We may see something in the next month or two, but unless that happens, it's the pit again coming through. I don't know if the studio will have another season before the Emmys come out.
True.
If it did, then that'd be the lock for that category.
All right.
That's
All
how it
right.
goes.
Look at you getting all fired up for the Emmys. That's good to see. Good to see. All right, Dan Barrett, lovely talking to you, and I hope you. I'm going to go and watch them again.
Well, I'm just going to go back and watch the 1987 Academy Awards.
You want my predictions for next year? Do you? The Odyssey. Obviously, Nolan's going to be front and center with his big Greek epic.
You know what? I'm going to put it out there. This is my prediction. That film is going to underwhelm.
Ooh, look
Yeah.
at you putting the Nolan universe offside already. That's starting early. Should have led with that.
Should have. That's a little bit of special sauce right there at the end there. A little bit of a dessert for people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure. If people want to find more of us, we have a regular podcast. It's called Screen Watching. And Simon does a newsletter here on Substack, which is called
Screen space, screen-space. Make sure you put the hyphen in there. Otherwise, you'll get a blind shop in Melbourne.
And of course, I am hosting it as seen by the logo, which presumably is above me there. I'm not sure. It's always be watching. It's a newsletter. It's a way of life. But it's like TV stuff. People should subscribe to that. We'll be back we'll back with our podcast next week and living our lives other than that. Folks, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.